The judge in Young Thug's trial just had a breakdown, as the prosecutors in Thug's trial is making his job impossible as they are holding evidence from Thug's lawyers, which is a crime in a court setting.
Your Honor, we would ask, because we would ask that all of this be reserved for the 16th, because this all came up in September. You said you allowed us to.
I am really annoyed about this, Ms. Hilton. I just am. This is ridiculous. Your witness list has grown by 2/3 since then. And I don't know why. You better have a dang good explanation on the 16th, because if you don't, I'm going to exclude it. Okay. But right now, I'm telling you, without anything further, it's gone.
Well, we would like to
exclude a lot more on that date, because this is ridiculous. There is no plausible explanation I've gotten and that would suffice, that we just kind of keep, you keep dripping and driving out evidence.
This even left Meek Mill reacting by saying on Twitter, "Jeff is gonna beat this case. It is too messy," which he is honestly right. The prosecutors are trying to sneak in 200 plus witnesses to come to trial and share all of the crimes that Jeffrey committed, all while not sharing the names of these witnesses, what crimes they even witnessed, and if they actually saw Young Thug commit a crime with proof that they were there. As while the judge was yelling at the prosecutor about this, Young Thug's lawyers are making plays behind the scenes, as it was announced today, Young Thug's lawyer files a motion to redact/remove any mention in the indictment of the 9 co-defendants who took guilty pleas. He argues that the fact co-defendants plead guilty cannot be used as evidence against Young Thug or on others on trial. As a part of their plea deals, there is a few YSL members that are gonna have to take the stand against Young Thug, where they're gonna have to reveal to the new jury that YSL committed such and such crimes, which will go on to make Young Thug look extremely guilty. Why this is so important is because of Young Thug's co-defendant and right-hand man named Durante Bibi, aka B, where he would plead guilty to his RICO charges against him today, along with participation in criminal street activity, theft by receiving stolen property, violation of Georgia's Controlled Substance Act, armed robbery, hijacking of a motor vehicle, as well as firearm charges.
And you give this guilty plea freely and voluntarily, means your own decision to enter a plea this afternoon?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And sir, then I find that based upon the responses that you've given and the colloquy in this case and the court's questioning of you, that your pleas are freely and voluntarily entered. I find a factual basis. I'm going to go ahead and accept your pleas as tendered and negotiate and sentence you to as indicated. You're 23 years old. You've had enough trial in your life at this point in time. Would you agree?
Yes.
Time to have a little testimony. Time to reclaim your own life, and that you can do in this case, or if you just separate yourself from the people that you've been hanging out with. Find some new friends. Find some new people that are going to be positive in your life, and if they don't add to your life, then you need to cut them loose.
Bibi was sentenced to 5 years inside of prison with 10 years of probation following his release. B is now the 9th co-defendant to strike a plea deal to avoid trial alongside Young Thug. With B taking his plea deal, admitting guilt of committing these crimes, it shows the new jury that Young Thug was likely involved as well, as the prosecutor will be using Bibi's plea deal alongside Gunna's to make the point of, if Young Thug's 2 right-hand men both pled guilty, what do you think Young Thug is? Guilty or not guilty? As when Gunna originally snitched, he said yes, that YSL committed a lot of concerning crimes.
You agree or acknowledge that statements are true, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I became affiliated with YSL around 2016. Is that true as it pertains to you, Mr. Kitchens?
Yes, ma'am.
YSL is a music label, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in front of you.
Yes, ma'am.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped a vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocarbons and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you acknowledge the following statement?
Yes.
As the announcement, and I quote, "The Young Thug and YSL trial is expected to officially start November 27th. Starting tomorrow, 12 jurors and 6 alternates will be seated from the pool of 50 qualified jurors," with additional information shared here.
We finally have a jury. According to this tweet by Thugger Daily on Twitter, the jury's demographics are 9 women, 3 men, 7 black women, 2 white women, 1 white man, and then the 6 alternate jurors are 3 black women, 2 white men, and then 1 black man. So it's going to be a good mix of this jury. This started off with 28 indicted defendants, including Young Thug. Some of them took plea deals. Some of them have been severed from the case. Some of them don't have lawyers, not even public defenders. And one person is still on the run. And so after all of that, we are down to 7 defendants. So when this trial starts on November 27th, it will be 7 defendants in that courtroom. And that does include Young Thug.
As this is where Young Thug's chance of release is now extremely high. To understand when Young Thug could be released, we need to dive deep into the information that there was 28 members arrested originally in the YSL RICO case. So after many people snitched, we're now only down to 7 YSL members. However, all of the YSL members that snitched only did it because they were forced into it by the police department. It all begins with a report of, and I quote, "Brian Steele says Lil Woody was told he would get 25 years in federal prison in a different case if he didn't cooperate against Young Thug, aka Snitch. The state refuses to give anything to the defense concerning the federal agent that went after Lil Woody with this. Brian Steele wants to put her on the stand to show the jury that Lil Woody was told to lie about Jeffrey Williams."
Specifically is on the recording, KC, that he will get, that she spoke with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and he is facing, if he does not cooperate against Mr. Williams, he's facing 25 years at a minimum charges in federal court, and there's no parole. I do not have one document, not one note or memoranda provided in discovery concerning ATF agent Cunningham.
As Lil Woody provided a majority of the evidence the prosecutors are currently using against Young Thug. As shared in the report of, and I quote, "YSL Woody popped out on the gram last year after cooperating with police for 3 hours and solving over 50 crimes, telling on Young Thug, YFN Lucci, and others, where there is a video of an interrogation with Lil Woody that is 3 hours long, telling law enforcement every single crime that every YSL member has ever committed that he has been there to witness." When this was originally announced inside a court, this was Young Thug's reaction. With Lil Woody snitching for roughly 3 hours, all of the evidence that he gave prosecutors, if he was found to be forced into doing it, will no longer be usable against Young Thug in his upcoming trial. As the evidence he provided was so serious, this was said about Young Thug in the first court hearing.
He's the one directing traffic. He is the one they're all afraid of. He's the one that's King Slime. He is the most dangerous of the 28, Judge. And I implore you not to grant him a bond. He is dangerous. If he gets a burner, Judge, and the court may know this, a lot of the communications that Mr. Williams is on FaceTime because it's not traceable, it's not trackable. Judge, I will also say that we have taken proffers from fellow from Mr. Williams. Some are on this indictment, some are not. They have stated uniformly that Mr. Williams is dangerous. They are afraid of him, that if they cross him, he will them and their family. And they were very clear about that.
However, not everything is perfect. To understand this, we need to dive deep into the new charges that are currently against Young Thug. As new evidence reveals that Young Thug and the YSL rap group were doing rituals with goats. As a lawyer would go on to explain this,
but in this case, Hassan says he's unclear what specifically a goat could represent.
The theory behind Animals is you're draining their energy, their power, and to use for mystical purposes, and obviously interviewing former members who were present, who could explain the context and what if any ceremony was taking place. Then you have some illumination possibly on it.
He also said animal may be illegal in some areas and not protected under religious freedoms.
As one of the YSL snitches mentioned this to law enforcement, what the YSL rap group was doing with animals. And it just so happens where Young Thug lived, it is one of the states where it is illegal to do the actions they were doing with the goat. As it's very obvious that law enforcement is basically picking on Young Thug at this point. Even earlier in the trial, Young Thug had his lawyer tweet to Michael Phelps, and I quote, "I'm talking with my roommate and we're wondering if you could swim 100 miles from the middle of the ocean back to shore." As prosecutors alleged, this was code for YSL members in the free world to go commit crimes on Thug's behalf.
Williams is in a jail outside of Fulton County. There are 0 cell phones in that jail.
That last tweet that was sent out to Michael Phelps is recorded. It's been investigated by the sheriff of that county, and it was a conversation that's recorded between Mr. Williams and a member of his close friendships, that he asked the other person who has control of his Twitter account. That is not a reason to...
Well, this is part of the conversation, Mr. Steele, and you and others are going to need to have with your clients, because this is part of the state's concern. I mean...
That was an innocent... That's nothing bad. Asking somebody to tweet to Michael Phelps, "Can you swim 100 miles in the ocean?" That has nothing to do with intimidation. That asks you.
Well, if I can communicate through a family member or somebody else, then I can communicate something else.
Everything okay over there?
Sorry.
Yep. Okay, your family was concerned that something was going on. You're fine, right?
Yes, I'm great.
Okay, cool.
Which is another reason the judge is so angry at the prosecutors, as it really seems they're just making up anything they can to make Young Thug look extremely guilty of crime. So to even out the playing field, Young Thug's lawyers had Thug's father do an emergency interview this week, stating that Gunna didn't snitch on Young Thug and that Young Thug has no hard feelings against Gunna. However, it really seems as if his father is trying to make it seem as if Thug wants no revenge against Gunna if he ever were to be released.
Courtney said, "How do you feel about Gunna?"
I love Gunna.
See, that's the thing. People don't understand the relationship. They got this thing saying that Gunna is a rat and he's done this and done that.
But see, let me try to help the attorney clarify that a little simpler. Gunna hasn't done anything whatsoever that can hurt us on this case. Period.
As Thug's father don't want the judge believing there's any sort of revenge that Thug wants where he would commit a crime, and that everything is just perfectly fine. However, according to rappers, what Gunna did completely ruined Young Thug's life, as 6ix9ine would even mention on a Clubhouse call with Whack 100 that Young Thug's life is in a terrible situation now due to Gunna's plea deal.
So me pleading guilty is only making it worse for my man. I'm saying I was there. Yes, I did it. I plead guilty. I am guilty. I am guilty. Anything you said in that courtroom is going to be used against your man, my man. That is over.
He just incriminated, implicated YSL being, so now he's home, right? All the people who's locked up, like Jeffrey, like Young Thug, now he can't go with that defense. He can't go with the defense of saying, I'm a record label.
Whether you want to believe it or not that it didn't ruin Young Thug's life, what it did do was now bring Lil Baby's name into the mix. This is all due to the Atlanta DA offering these YSL snitches amazing proffer deals, and they have now mentioned Lil Baby's name in crimes that they have committed.
An in-depth investigation. Recent months, you've had 2 high-profile racketeering cases. There are going to be more.
Over the next 60 days, you'll see 2 more.